All right, first off, I want to say praise the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to everybody that's tuned in today. And I'd like to welcome everybody to Precept University, where we study the Bible line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little, from the book of Genesis all the way to the book of Revelation. And I'm just a man of God, trying my best to be a man of God. And if you keep the commandments of God and faith in Christ Jesus, I am your brother. So for today's topic, we're going to look at a lesson titled, It's Possible That You've Encountered an Angel Before. It's possible that you have encountered an angel before, one of God's angels. It is very possible. And the motivation of this lesson comes from Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2. And before we get into it, I just want to give y'all a brief story about something I was thinking about earlier today. I want to say probably about 2 years ago, me and my wife, we went to Miami for one of our anniversaries. We went down to Miami. We was down there, sightseeing and everything. And we didn't have a rental, or we didn't take an Uber or anything like that. So we were pretty much just using their public transportation. And being that we are not from Miami, we kind of got lost. So we going bus to bus, catching all these buses. And we finally started to get a little close to where our hotel was. And things really got spooky then, because I believe we might have been a few miles from where our hotel actually was, and the bus that we was on, that was the last stop. It wasn't gonna go no further. So, and we really didn't know how to get back. So we get off that bus and we are distraught a little bit. And it was a guy on the bus, and he can kind of sense that we didn't know where we was, or that we was tourists and we was trying to figure things out. So he just came up to us like, "Yeah, y'all need some help?" And we're like, "Yeah, man, we don't know where we're going. We lost." So he pointed towards this, like, it was kind of like a tunnel. It was on the beach, but it was kind of like a tunnel. And he pointed us to go through that tunnel. He pointed to that tunnel because it was like real hard to cross the street. So the only way to cross the street, you had to go through this tunnel. And he pointed it to us, and he started walking down the tunnel. And mind you, when you first come out of the tunnel, and we was kind of like right with him. So when you first come out of the tunnel, you either look left or look right. You can't really go nowhere. You can either make a left or make a right once you come out of that tunnel, and continue to walk whatever way you was walking. And what was crazy was, we was following the guy, and then all of a sudden he just disappeared. He just disappeared. And this is kind of what we thought, I'm pretty sure that's what took place, because, we dealing with the same God, like the Bible says. It said Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. We dealing with the same God. So I'm pretty sure that that's what happened. So that's what kind of another part of where the motivation of the lesson is coming from. But what we're going to look at is the origin of today's topic, because, I had my encounter, but there's been individuals in the Bible that have had encounters kind of like I had. And then another thing we're going to look at is an example where it took place. So there are examples where people have, dealt with angels and they didn't even know that they was dealing with angels. So we're going to start this off at Hebrews chapter 13. And a lot of times when I do get a chance to read this verse, I kind of think about how it's very important for us to be careful with how we treat people. And not even just everyday people, but how we treat strangers. Like, even when you go to a store or you see somebody outside begging, or you see somebody with a cardboard box, and, they may be sitting there asking for help, maybe asking for change or for something to eat. A lot of times, people get caught up in the whole thing of, well, man, maybe they could be a scammer or something like that. But my thing is, like, that's between them and God. That's between them and God. So, and we want to show love to as many people as we can. Like, if we can help somebody, because chances are, hey, maybe they are scamming, but chances are maybe they may not be scamming. That's like I say, that's for God to judge. But I think about that a lot of times because you never know when you could be dealing with an angel. Like you can come out of a store and see somebody begging or something like that, and you get to yelling at them or whatever it is that somebody may do when they feel irritated because somebody's asking them for something. But we should always, like the Bible says, the Lord, he loves a cheerful giver anyway. So we should always be mindful of how we deal with people. People may speak to us when we out in public, somebody smiling at you, smile back. Somebody say hi to you, say hi back. Just be careful with the way you treat people. So Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 2. Go ahead.
Be not forgetful to entertain strangers.
So that's why I just said all that before we even got to the scripture. We in Hebrews chapter 13 and 2. It says, be not forgetful to entertain strangers, people you don't know. Because you never know who you may be dealing with, and that even goes, a lot of times you could be dealing with somebody that can really help you out in a certain situation. You can see somebody and they may look a little rough, they may, pull up to an event in a car that's not too nice. I've heard stories where people have dealt with people and they treated them with respect and didn't realize, they could be in a certain company or something like that. They could be at a certain store and you didn't realize you was dealing with the CEO. Yeah. So you never know who you may be dealing with, or in this case, what we dealing with, you never know what you may be dealing with. You may be dealing with something from the spiritual realm, because it's physical things in the Bible as well as spiritual things in the Bible. So it says, be not forgetful to entertain strangers, because why?
For thereby some have entertained strangers unawares.
They have entertained strangers unaware?
Have entertained angels unaware.
They have entertained angels unaware. People have dealt with angels and they didn't even know it. And one thing about the angels is that they are servants of God. They going back and forth reporting every little thing that's going on throughout the earth. They going back and forth. So we definitely want to be careful because you don't want to come out of a store and you see a homeless person or whatnot, just like me and my wife. I'm pretty sure that was the case. You don't want to come out of a store and somebody's asking you for something and you get to cussing them out or what you doing out here. Is you really you really going through it? Like you don't want to do that, because you never know who you dealing with or what. More importantly, what you're dealing with. You might not even be dealing with a flesh and blood human being. And this has happened before. So we're going to see an example. We're going to see a prime example. I gave my example. We're going to see an example in the Bible. Let's go to Judges chapter 13. We're going to see an example of where this actually took place. And there's more examples. You go to the book of Genesis and you see the whole situation with Sodom and Gomorrah. And we know according to the Bible that same-sex relations is against the laws of God, but you can see where, these men of Sodom, what they were doing, they was trying to sleep with what they thought were men, but they were actually angels. And them angels ended up blinding those men that compassed the house of Lot and his family. So, it's a lot of things in the Bible where you can get multiple examples. So we're in Judges chapter 13, and we're going to see an example. This is an account of the birth of Samson before Samson came about, one of the greatest warriors in the Bible. So this is Judges chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 2 and 3. When you get there, go ahead and read that. Go ahead.
And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and bare not.
Okay, so you got this man. His name was Zorah. He was of the tribe of Dan. Well, it says he was of Zorah, and his name was Manoah, and his wife, he said his wife was barren. So what does it mean that his wife was barren? She could not have children. There was a lot of barren women. Another one individual that was barren was John the Baptist's mother, she was barren. And the Lord, he works those type of miracles. So it said his wife was barren and bare not. She didn't have any children. And then what happened in verse 3?
And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman and said unto her, Behold, now that thou art barren and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son.
Why? Because with God, all things are possible.
Right.
He said, you barren, you can't have kids. Even when it comes to, doctors and everything like that. Like, they do their job and everything, but ultimately healing comes from the Lord.
Right.
Any healing or any miracles like that, it's some things, the doctors, they go to school for years and years and on top of years, but it's certain things that may happen that they just can't explain. Like over in the book of Ecclesiastes, it talks about how people can't figure out how the bones grow in the womb and things of that nature. So it said, Behold, now thou art barren and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. Like, even though you bear, this angel is telling this woman that you're going to have a child. You're going to have a child. And this angel is going to give her some instructions on how to care for this child. I mean, obviously you're going to feed a child and, you're going to, you got a newborn baby, you're going to birth the baby and all that type of stuff. But it's going to be some specific instructions that are given to this woman as far as caring for this child. So skip down to verse 6. Go ahead.
Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told me his name.
Okay, so she's telling her husband about this encounter that she had. Go ahead.
But he said unto me, Behold, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and thou drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing.
Okay, so we see the instructions that the angel was given to this woman. She's just repeating them. We started at 2 and 3. We skipped verses 4 and 5, but that's what the angel told her. So she's just repeating the information that she got from this angel. Go ahead.
For the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death.
And that's how the Nazarites were. Like, the Nazarite, they couldn't drink, they couldn't have wine or anything like that. They couldn't have wine, and then they had to grow their hair. And we know Samson, he had 7 locks. Yeah. He had 7 big old locks. But go ahead.
Then Manoah entreated the Lord and said, O my Lord, let the man of God which thou didst send me come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born.
So that's another thing. See, that's one thing that angels do. You got jobs for angels. All these angels, you go to Psalms 104, it talks about how the Lord created the angels and they are ministering spirits. So in other words, they are servants of God. So this angel right here, if you see right here in verse 8, when Manoah entreated the Lord, he said, O my Lord, let the man of God which thou didst send come again unto us and teach us. See, some angels edify, some angels destroy. You got angels that protect. When you get to the book of Revelation, you got angels pouring out the vials of wrath.
Right.
You got, when you get to the end times in the book of Revelation, you got 7 angels that are blowing 7 trumpets. You got all these angels are not just here for no reason. So he said, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born. Like, that's what he entreated the Lord about. Go ahead.
And God hearkened to the voice of Manoah, and to the angel of God came again unto the woman as she sat in the field. But Manoah, her husband, was not with her.
Go ahead.
And the woman made haste and ran, and showed her husband, and said unto him, Behold, the man hath appeared unto me that came unto me the other day. And Manoah,
you see constantly over and over, she's caught. She's saying, it's a man, it's a man, it's a man. The man that appeared unto me. It's a man. Go ahead.
11. And Manoah arose and went after his wife, and came to the man and said unto him, Art thou the man that speakest unto the woman? And he said, I am. And Manoah said, Now let thy words come to pass. How shall we order the child, and how shall we do unto him? And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah.
See, the writer is calling it the angel of the Lord. It said the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah what?
Of all that I said unto the woman, let her be aware. She may not eat of anything that cometh of the vine, Neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe.
So the angel is doubling down on the instructions.
Right.
Go ahead.
And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, I pray thee, let us detain thee until we shall have made ready a kid for thee.
Okay, so Manoah, and that's one thing the men and women of God did. They, they paid respects. They paid respects, and obviously they don't know this. If they don't know this guy, obviously it's a stranger. Right. So you see how they dealing with him, and how they how they listening to him. She had to understand that this wasn't no ordinary type of thing. This was some divine type of stuff going on. So the husband Manoah, he's paying respect. He said unto the angel of the Lord, I pray thee, let us detain thee until we have made ready a kid for thee. Let us do something for you. Let us look out for you. Go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, though thou detain me, I will not eat of thy bread. And if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it unto the Lord. For Manoah knew not that he was an angel of the Lord.
Oh, you see what it said? He said, for Manoah knew not that he was an angel of the Lord. They was constantly calling him a man. So we see right here already that this aligns with Hebrew chapter 13 and verse 2.
Stranger.
You're dealing with a stranger, but sometimes you don't even know that you actually dealing with an angel. You think you dealing with a stranger. That's why it's so important how you treat people. Exactly. Go ahead.
And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, what is thy name, that when thy sayings come to pass, we may do thee honor? And the angel of the Lord said unto him, why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is secret?
See, if they would have, that's just showing you that he a stranger right there. They ain't know who this guy was. Just popped out of nowhere. And that's what angels do.
Yep.
They'll pop out of nowhere. Even when it came to the birth of John the Baptist and his father, Zacharias, was doing his work. He was doing some work, and he looked over, and all of a sudden, it's a man standing right there. So that's how they, spiritual beings have that ability. But go ahead.
19. So Manoah took a kid with a meat offering and offered it upon a rock unto the Lord. And the angel did wondrously. And Manoah and his wife looked on.
So they made this offering. Go ahead.
For it came to pass when the flame went up toward heaven.
So they made this offering. A lot of times they made an offering. Fire was involved. You got what you call burnt offering. So it said it came to pass in verse 20 when the flame went up toward heaven from the altar, from off of the altar. Go ahead.
That the angel of the Lord ascended into the flame of the altar, and Manoah and his wife looked on it and fell on their faces to the ground.
So the flame went up, and the man went up too. Well, what they thought was a man. Verse 21.
But the angel of the Lord did no more appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of the Lord.
But so I just went there. So we had the basis of what we were talking about. You want to be careful when you entertain strangers, because a lot of times you don't know if you actually entertaining an angel. And then we went to Judges chapter 13 and saw the whole birth of Samson and the instructions that they were given before the birth of Samson. And we saw that this man and this woman were entertaining an angel, and they didn't even realize it. So I pray that everybody was edified to the fullest extent. Now let's go to Luke chapter 15. I'm going to read Luke chapter 15 and 10, because this is what we always like to read after each lesson. Luke chapter 15 and 10. And in Luke chapter 15 and 10, it says, likewise, I say unto you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner that repenteth. So I go there just to encourage anybody that may be watching, that if you were edified, please share this video with at least one person. And I thank y'all for y'all time. Praise God. University.